Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and Hazak Baruch. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Thursday afternoon, Erev Shabbat Kodesh, as we are coming to an end of our fifth chapter of Pirkei Avot. We're coming along, just a few more Mishnayot, and here we are studying today Mishnah 24. Some have this part of Mishnah 23, and if you're following us along on the web version, it's going to be in Mishnah 20. Okay, so we're going to share the screen just to quickly recap yesterday's Mishnah because it does flow into today's Mishnah. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just fixing this angle right here. Okay, okay, so here we go. The Mishnah is telling us. Yesterday we saw Mishnah 20. Yehuda ben Tema Omer. Yehuda ben Tema is the author of the Mishnah, and he says, Heve az kannamer. That you should be bold like a leopard. Okay, we should have convictions. We should undertake tasks that are difficult. We should be confident in our decisions. Don't let people talk you out of it. If there's a mitzvah to do, and you know it's the right thing, and then someone says, what are you eating kosher for? Come on, what could be wrong? Get a salad, a big deal. What's the problem? I'm opening the door for you. You can get in the car. It's big. I'll break Shabbat and you come in the car, right? To be bold, right? No, I don't do that, right? That's az kannamer. Kal kanesher. We should be swift like an eagle, right? That means when necessary to swoop down, to be humble in front of a teacher, in front of a rabbi, in front of someone greater than us. Ratz katsevi, that means we should run like the deer. Okay? A deer runs very fast. We should run when it comes to doing mitzvot. Don't be lazy. Be lazy when it comes to doing averot. When it comes to doing mitzvot, don't be lazy. And finally, gibor ka'ari, strong like a lion. Of course, this means conquering our yetzer hara when he tells us to do the wrong things. Rabbi Twersky says beautifully that many understand this Mishnah as referring to a Baal Teshuvah. Okay? Because what is a Baal Teshuvah? Baal Teshuvah is somebody who is coming back on the path. Somebody who is repenting. Someone who used to have a past and they're changing. Aren't we all Baal Teshuvah, by the way? All of us? Even if you're religious, even if you're born religious, you should always be a Baal Teshuvah. A guy once said to his rabbi, asked him, which yeshiva do you go to? And he responded to the rabbi, I go to such and such a yeshiva. And that yeshiva had a reputation for being, it was a yeshiva for a lot of people that had a past. Baal Tshuvas. So he says to the rabbi, I go to such and such a yeshiva, but I'm not a Baal Tshuva. Don't think that I'm in rehab and I'm coming off of drugs. I'm not a Baal Tshuva. And the rabbi says, you're not a Baal Tshuva? Why not? Right? We should always be a Baal Tshuva. Baal Tshuva means someone who is always growing in their spirituality. We should always, no matter if you're born here or here, we should always be improving. Next. Yes, the pasuk is b'makom sheba'alei teshuvah omdim afilu tzadikim gemurim enam yicholim la'amod. Okay? So here, people that often are becoming Baal Teshuvah, repenters, that they're growing in a beautiful way. A lot of times there's opposition. It could be a kid that goes to Israel to yeshiva, a girl that goes to seminary, or even us as adults, right? We change, we grow, and a lot of times the people around us, they oppose it. They're angry at our new lifestyle. A lot of times they feel threatened. Oh, you think you're better than us? Oh, how could it? Right? You're right. So they accuse us of being rude. You're getting so religious. You're getting in touch. You're falling off the face of the earth. I can't call you anymore. I'm trying to be in touch with you. Happens to every single person. Everybody. If you're going to start growing, there's going to be opposition. Not only from the Yetzer Hara, there's going to be opposition from your old friends. And by the way, the reason for that is because in a way, they feel a little bit embarrassed and ashamed of themselves that they haven't done what you have done. And so in a way, it's their defense mechanism. And the way of defending themselves is by attacking you. They're going to say to you, oh, right? And it's true not only in religion. A person that's part of a group of people that steal, that rob, and he stops robbing. A person's smoking, doing drugs, alcohol, and then they stop and they quit. Their friends are not going to give them an easy time. Why? Misery likes company. They want you to be with them, robbing, doing drugs, alcohol. So they're going to say, hey, what happened to you? I thought we were tight. I thought we were, you think you're better than us now? You think you're better than us? Right? So we have to be az kanamir. We have to be bold like a leopard. We have to resist the temptations. We have to resist those comments that we will receive. We shouldn't let the Yetzer Hara say, come on, Ariel, you don't want to cause waves. What happened to Shalom? Keep the peace. Right? So, Yetzer Hara knows how to play. He knows how to play us. When it's good for him, he tells us to, peace, peace, peace. But then, he stirs the fire and he ignites, come on, you have to fight with your cousin. He's not good what he did to you. It's not nice what they said to you, right? So he's always playing with us. When it's good for him, he wants us to fight. When it's bad for him, he wants us to make peace. Right? Always tricking us. Right? Don't let him fool you. If it's something that we know is right, we got to do it. That's az panim. However, az kanamer, excuse me. Then, however, there's kal kanesher. We also have to be light like an eagle. Swift like an eagle. You ever saw how an eagle lands on a nest? Eagle goes very fast. But no matter how fast it comes, it's flying. When it's time to land, it rests very softly. Doesn't crash down. It doesn't destroy the nest or the things under it. And that is another lesson. How even though, yes, we must resist the temptation or the comments of our family and friends around us, we must make sure that we do it light like an eagle. We shouldn't be, and this is important, so pay attention to this. We shouldn't be disrespectful. Even though we have our views, we shouldn't be disrespectful. That's kal kaneshed. We should be like the eagle, light. Say what you need to say, but don't now swoop to their level. Right? Sometimes we think because we're fighting for Judaism and religion, and myself, I went to yeshiva. I got very stark, as you can see. I came back, and you have different conversations, arguments, or debates with different people from your past. And sometimes you think that the way to get them is to show, right? That's not the way to do it. Always with respect, with derech eretz. Don't become arrogant, okay? Especially with parents. Parents, so often a boy comes back from yeshiva, his parents are fighting him, and we like, come on, this is me, right? We have to remember, kibur ava'im. Kibur ava'im applies even if our parents are not on our page. We still have to respect them. Okay, that's the second one, kal kaneshed. It's an amazing story I want to share with you. I'm reading this new book, just light reading. This is something that you can read by the pool if you're hanging out outside, just enjoying the sun. Exploring Talmudic narratives, a book called The Snake at the Mouth of the Cave. Okay, so far it's a pretty good read, and he's exploring one of the greatest sages in Jewish tradition, the famous Rabbi Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus. We know him, the famous Rabbi Eliezer. He's the guy. He's the rabbi. He's one of the biggest rabbis. We even learned about him in Pirkei Avot. Remember, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai had 5 students, and his top student was one of his top students was Rabbi Eliezer. That's him. Well, let me tell you about Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus was not born what we call FFB, from birth. He wasn't born, in a religious family. His father was an Amaretz, ignorant person. His father he owned the field, very successful. He owned a very nice field. Hayu le'aviv horshim. His father had plowmen, and they were plowing the ground. And Rabbi Eliezer, he wasn't a rabbi yet. He was still a young 28-year-old bachelor. And he has one dream. He wants to study Torah. So he was sitting and crying. He's plowing, but he's crying. Amar lo aviv, his father says, "Why are you crying, Eliezer? Are you upset that maybe I gave you too hard of a field to plow? Maybe I gave you too much stones? Let me give you a little bit more arable. So, you're not going to have easy soil." Well, he's plowing, but he's still crying. His dad says, "Why are you crying now? I gave you the good land. Easy job." He said to him, he didn't answer. He says, "No, I'm not crying because of plowing." He says, "Why are you crying?" He says, "I want to learn Torah." So his father says, "You want to learn Torah? What's gotten into you? The Torah. Who's Torah? Come on, wake up, man. You're 28 years old, you're single, you don't have kids, you don't have a good job. Get married, start your life, be responsible, have a career." Yeah. Yes, this is not one of the 5 students of Rabbi Akiva, no. This is one of the 5 students of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. This Rabbi Eliezer was Rabbi Akiva's teacher. Okay? Rabbi Akiva's teacher. He says, "What are you, out of your mind? You're going to learn Torah? Come on, let's talk about real stuff." Anyways, he continued crying, and all of a sudden, 2 weeks passed, he didn't eat a thing. Fasting. Finally, Eliyahu Navi comes to him. He says, "Why are you crying?" He says, "I want to learn Torah." Eliyahu Navi says to him, "You want to learn Torah? Go up to Jerusalem and study by Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai." And he did. He went up to Jerusalem, and Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai realized that this kid knows nothing. Mamash like Rabbi Akiva, 28 years old, he knew nothing. And he taught him 2 halachot a week, or 2 topics a week, and he reviewed with him from beginning to end, until many years later. Many years later. Fast forward over here. Rabbi Eliezer is now a big rabbi. And his father, Horkenus, he lost his son. That's it. His son became Black Hat. He lost him. And Amru banav shel Horkenus lavihem. The sons of Horkenus said to their father, "Alel Yerushalayim, Dad, why don't you go up and exclude your son Eliezer from your possessions, so that when you die, he will not inherit with us." Obviously, the father wasn't proud of the choices that Eliezer has made. He did not want his son to become a scholar. He didn't see any future in it. And the brothers saw that their father felt like that, and the brothers were also regular, successful farmers. So they said, "Dad, why don't you excommunicate him?" And he did. He came up to Jerusalem, and he saw there was a party, and at the head of the feast is who? Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Well, this is, Horkenus. He has money, he's a man of means, and a party, an honor is it's his language. So they give him a seat. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai recognizes Horkenus. He knows that Eliezer is his student. He knows that there's beef over here. So he doesn't say anything. He doesn't mention that his son is his student. He doesn't say. He invites him. He gives him honor first, speaking the father's language. And Rabbi Yochanan turns to his student. He says, "Eliezer, go ahead, give a lecture." And Eliezer said, "Rabbi, you know me. And by the way, I think you'll appreciate this. When we learned in Pirkei Avot, when Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was praising each one of his students, what did he say about his student? What's it called? About his student Eliezer, Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkenus. He said about him, remember, that he is like a pit that you pour in it water and it doesn't lose a drop. Remember that? He has such a good memory. Not by luck. He worked hard for the memory. Well, he turns to his student. He says, "Why don't you give a class? Give a lecture?" Eliezer said, Rabbi, I defer. I don't want to. So, and why didn't he want to, by the way? He says, what's the point of me giving it? I'm basically a parrot. I'm repeating from you. So, Rabbi, you give the class. It's better. They hear from the source. He said to him, the rabbi said back to his student, no. Let me give you a mashal. You're not like a pit that holds water. You're like a ma'yan. You're like a spring that even if you put water in it, it's able to produce more and new, fresher water. You, my student, have your own Torah. You have been able to take what I taught, but you're able to expound and elaborate on it. So please, and if you're embarrassed because I'm in the room, I'll leave. And Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai leaves the room. He goes outside. Another big lesson that sometimes as teachers, as parents, if we want our children, our students to thrive and succeed, we have to be able to leave. We have to be able to step out, to give them a chance to shine. Let them figure out their own path. Well, Rabbi Eliezer gets up and he starts delivering this fantastic shi'ur, so brilliant that when he was speaking, it was like his face shined like a sun. And he had light coming out like Moshe Rabbeinu, the Midrash says. Nobody knew, it was so much light that they didn't even know if it was day or night. Rabbi Yochanan came after the class and he gave him a kiss on his forehead. And he said, praiseworthy Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that this is who came from you. Well, who's watching this entire ceremony? Eliezer's father, Horkanus. Horkanus sees honor coming to his son. He wants the honor. He cannot handle not being honored. Amar Horkanus, who is this rabbi? He says, that's your son Eliezer. He says, my son Eliezer. So why did he praise Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov? He should have praised me. He came from me. I'm the one that should have gotten all the praise. Well, once the father saw this, he was very honored and he was proud of his son. Why was he proud of his son? Did he magically all of a sudden love Torah? I don't know. But he saw the honor that came because of the Torah. And that was his currency. He stood there listening to the lecture, and Rabbi Eliezer says, Dad, I can't speak if you're standing. It's not respectful. Please sit down. The father sat, and he finished giving the lecture. And the story ends off that Horkanus stood up and he says, you know, my son, I want you to know, you don't know this, but I came actually to exclude you from my inheritance, from my finances. But not only am I not excluding you, but I'm actually going to exclude all your brothers, and you are going to be my sole heir. Okay, the only one to inherit after me. There's amazing lessons. What's going on over here? And the son responds. He says, Dad, if I wanted money, I would have asked Hashem. If I wanted land, I would have asked Hashem. I don't want anything. I just want Torah. And that is how the story comes to an end. And again, you see how Rabbi Eliezer has conviction, and he's very stubborn. And by the way, we see how he's stubborn in later stories when he's fighting with the rabbis on matters of halakha, and he's outnumbered. All the rabbis against him. The famous episode with the tum'ah and tahara of the oven, whatever the details are over there. But he was outnumbered. But he was so stubborn and he wouldn't change. He had what he received from Sinai and he wouldn't budge. For halakha, for Torah, I'm not moving. And that's beautiful. And maybe, it's too much sometimes. Obviously we're not here to critique Rabbi Eliezer. He ends up getting excommunicated at the end of his life. And he dies alone. How interesting. Rabbi Eliezer. But at this all the same, meanwhile, he is respectful to his father. He doesn't embarrass his father. He doesn't say to his father, oh, yeah, you didn't want me and now you want... No, none of that, right? Always, that's kal kanesher. Ratz katzevi, of course, running to do mitzvot. And gibor ka'ari. By the way, Ratz katzevi doesn't mean giant steps. Run like a deer does not mean to take big steps in religion. If you take big steps, you're going to fall. That's not a way to grow. You can't jump. One has to speak to their rabbis, to their mentors. What's the right approach? Many times a student felt they wanted to do something, and I felt that it was actually not coming from the right place. And I actually told them not to do it, although they wanted to do something more observant. But I knew that this was actually a mistake. Not me, obviously. I got my guidance from my rabbis. But this person was not going to keep their customs. It was coming from maybe a little bit the Yetzer Hara, the famous story of the Gaon Mevilna, where Rav Chaim Volozhin wanted to open up a yeshiva. He came to his Rebbe, the Gaon Mevilna. He said, "Rabbi, I want to open up a yeshiva. What do you think?" And the Gaon Mevilna saw too much excitement in his student. He said, "This can't be coming from the right source. It's not coming from a good place." He told the student, "Abort mission." "Rabbi, are you sure? Yeshiva? Abort." Okay. A few months later, the Gaon Mevilna saw his student. "Hey, how's the yeshiva? Any success?" He's like, "Nah, I don't know. I fell out of it a little bit." The Gaon Mevilna said, "Great, now go open it." At the time, it wasn't the right thing for you. So run, but don't jump. Okay, and finally, number 4, Gibor. You got to be strong. If you're Baal Tshuva, you got to be strong. You know why? Because the rule is in Judaism, in religion, the greater you get, the greater your Yetzer Hara will get. So if today you're strong, your strength is level 5, your Yetzer Hara tomorrow is going to wake up on a level 6. And if you stay on level 5, you're not going to win. We can never be content. We can never be happy with our level of our strength. We have to always add weights, always figure out stronger ways, always prepare ourselves, because we need to know something. Yetzer Hara is going to come stronger than he did yesterday. And if I'm going to approach him the same way I did yesterday, with the same strength, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fall. I need to fight harder than I did yesterday. And it's true, many times in life, we win, we do well, we grow, and all of a sudden, a week later, we fail miserably. And we're depressed. What happened? I don't understand. I can't believe it. I was doing so great. I was doing amazing. How did I fall? How did I fall? I'm stronger than I was yesterday. How could it be? You know what the answer is? Because your Yetzer Hara is also stronger than he was yesterday. So don't get discouraged, but remember to stay strong. This all flows into today's Mishnah. And he used to say, here we go, you ready? That's today's Mishnah. Hu haya omer, Az panim legehenam. Whoa, that's all of a sudden a complete turnaround, a 180. What does that mean? That means arrogant. Az is what we said, to be arrogant. Be arrogant like a leopard, right? But then he continues and he says, but by the way, if you have arrogance, you're headed straight to Gehenna. Whoa, so am I supposed to be arrogant or not? I'm confused. And uboshet panim, and by the way, if you are boshet panim, if you're bashful, if you have shame, that will lead you to Gan Eden. And again, Yehuda ben Tema is telling us that we should have conviction, but we should never become arrogant. Never become arrogant just because you became religious, just because you grew. We shouldn't feel like we're better than people around us. We shouldn't feel superior. We shouldn't feel arrogant, never. By the way, and he continues and he says, you should know arrogance that you just had to fight for your love and for your Torah. Don't hold on to the arrogance too much, because that arrogance could also take you to Gehenna. While boshet panim, to be modest, to be humble, can take you to Gan Eden. Again, finding that proper balance. Okay? Yehi ratzon, and he ends off, may it be the will of the Lord that you should rebuild speedily in our days the Beit HaMikdash and set our portion in the studying of your Torah. Okay? Again, a lot of beautiful ideas, a lot to think about. I think it's enough for today, though. We'll stop over here. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. We'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.